Defendant Diddy is back.
Tree. And this time, he brought some friends with him.
LeBron James, Jay-Z, Beyoncé, Gloria, Estefan. Those are some of the names that appear in an explosive new lawsuit filed by a Florida man against Sean Combs, claiming he was a victim of sex trafficking and kidnapping at the hands of the music mogul.
You know it's JEJE Vibe. Can y'all feel the vibe?
I'm feeling it.
JEJE Vibe.
It's JEJE Vibe.
Catch the vibe. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to your most amazing podcast in the world.
You too, they feel yourself.
Welcome to JEJE Vibe. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And while you're at it, drop a comment. You know I got the amazing queen with me.
Thanks, my love.
We can't get enough of this Diddy. Diddy
Another lawsuit. Defendant Diddy is back.
Tree. And this time, he brought some friends with him.
Sean Diddy Combs is facing new accusations of human trafficking as he awaits his federal trial. In a civil case filed in Florida April 1st, Joseph Manzaro alleges, according to court documents obtained by E! News, that he was drugged, transported against his will, and sexually maimed as a victim of a coercive and organized criminal enterprise facilitated by Combs and others back in 2015.
So it's not just Diddy that is named as a defendant in this lawsuit.
In this lawsuit, it's important to note that these names are not being sued, but they are named as witnesses inside this lawsuit, those names being Jay-Z, Beyoncé, Gloria, Estefan, as well as LeBron James.
We have a new one. Jay-Z is mentioned.
And the wife.
Beyoncé is mentioned. Adria English is mentioned. LeBron James is also mentioned. This is crazy
Hey,
work.
people were wondering when that's gonna come to play.
It looks like ain't no party like the Diddy party.
Uh-huh.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Ain't no party like the Diddy party.
Uh-huh.
It looks like there's something to it. There's something to that statement. This is crazy. What we're about to hear is crazy. So let's hear what TMZ is talking about.
Held by an attorney in federal court about Diddy and an alleged freak-off that went down in Miami in April 2015. So exactly 10 years ago, they say this was
10 years ago, April 2015. This incident happened.
a party for Diddy's son, King Combs, but all the names involved here are huge.
So the party is for Christian Combs.
Oh, the one that looks like Diddy.
Yeah.
Was he an adult then?
Talking
We have to know. I guess we have.
I guess some shenanigans ongoing during a kid's party now.
Crazy. So how old was
Oh no.
Jesus? That's 10.
Beyoncé, Jay-Z, LeBron James. Now, all of those people are just witnesses, according to this lawsuit.
And strangely enough, Gloria Estefan.
Gloria
The
Estefan.
rhythm is going to get you, Gloria Estefan.
Yes,
And
Gloria-
her husband, Emilio.
Yes, and now, again, all witnesses. Emilio is actually a defendant in this lawsuit, along with Diddy. But here is the story, as told by a man named Joseph Manzaro in this lawsuit that we obtained this morning.
Crazy. Crazy. So, if it was 10 years ago, Christian Combs would be 17.
Yep.
Because he's 27. So, 10 years ago, would be 17.
He says that he showed up at this party or woke up at this party and didn't understand how he got there, that he's insinuating clearly that he'd been drugged, but woke up and at one point saw Gloria Estefan and Emilio Estefan, and Gloria is saying, hey, we need to get him medical.
So this is Gloria Estefan. So he woke up
With a couple.
Gets crazy.
Help because he's too drugged up.
Get an ambulance. Get him out of here.
And according to Manzaro, Emilio steps in and says, no, we're not doing that, and shoves Gloria out of the way. And then they take this guy to a tunnel.
So she said they should call an ambulance for him. And the husband say, nah, move. Get out of the way.
Hey, so he's talking about the tunnel now that they said exists in between all the houses there now.
Crazy.
We've been hearing several, I guess, stories circulating in the matrix of how they all have tunnels that connect each of their houses together.
Crazy.
Even Diddy's houses is connected to the Playboy Mansion.
So this is public information.
Yep, it is public information.
This couple, they live close to Diddy in Star Island, Miami. So they're neighbors.
From the Estefan's house to Diddy's home. Now, this is on Star Island in Miami. They do actually live near each other. So that part of it is, that's a fact that anybody can find.
Sure.
But what happened once he got into this party at Diddy's house is outrageous. And I know we're supposed to take every lawsuit seriously because we don't know. We weren't there. The Gloria Estefan part, that's just the start. How Beyoncé gets involved. So listen to this. He says that at one point he's being walked around the party and he looks up and sees Beyoncé. And she says, what's this? What's this all about? Why is this half-naked white man with a blank mask, another word for penis, mask, standing here in front of me?
Yeah, apparently they put on him a penis mask on his head.
Oh, my.
So he's wearing almost no clothes, according to his lawsuit, and a penis mask. And that was...
Oh, my God. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Imagine walking with a giant penis mask on your head. Crazy.
This is crazy. Is this a humiliation type of thing?
Probably.
Crazy.
a jarring sight for people.
And LeBron James also saw him at one point and said, y'all better do something about that. It goes on. There's more. It is one hell of a story.
Yeah, look, this is one of the most shocking lawsuits I've read. If this had been the first Diddy lawsuit, our jaws would be on the floor, but there's a quality to it that sounds like almost a screenplay being written, because he says he was lapsing sort of in and out of consciousness, and he's hearing voices of celebrities throughout this lawsuit. There's obviously the mask that he says he was wearing and being degraded and humiliated. There's also a bit of a Mad Libs quality of the other defendants. There's people who have sued Diddy before. A woman named Audria English is a defendant in this lawsuit. She's been a plaintiff in another lawsuit against Diddy. So it's hard to make heads or tails of this if this is just so late.
Crazy.
You're suing someone and someone's suing you. Shit. Oh, and then the common denominator is Diddy.
Crazy.
Shit.
So Audria English has been going around on YouTube since Diddy was arrested. She's made rounds on YouTube talking about Diddy, the parties that she has been to, and that she is an ex
Assistant.
I had been an ex, porn star, and I was currently an exotic dancer. For me, it was regular scheduled programming. Like, it's just what rich people with money do. Like, he tried it, he wanted to see, To me, it was more funny, but Anthony took more offense. Like, no, he got me fucked up. So I had let it go. I was over it. But when they asked me to work the parties, I was like, hell yeah, I would have did that shit damn near for free. Just for the networking. I was a groupie at that point. And I didn't realize how pretty I was. So when they were stripping to get through college, I kicked it with them. And that's how I ended up with Jake Steed. And he saw the innocence and the naiveness in me. He got me to do their movies. And then when Diddy found out about it, they used that against me. And then, he viewed me as somebody that was sexually exploited.
No, not a walker now.
It's like, it's crazy.
Crazy.
The lawsuit is crazy.
The game that it's someone who is very familiar with the people and the players in Diddy's life that they could put together a lawsuit,
or if
whether
it's
this
something
actually
that
happened,
or if it's something that happened and the reason that you recognize the names is they are people
who are really in Diddy's circle.
Who were in Diddy's circle. It also mentions a guy named Brendan Paul, who you'll recall when the raids went down, was arrested by the authorities and charged as basically allegedly being a drug mule for Diddy. He is mentioned in this lawsuit as well and is actually one of the defendants. So
I will say one of the good things about a lawsuit like this is there's a lot of potential witnesses and they'd have to all be on the same page and all.
So you remember the guy that was caught with Diddy when he was about to leave Miami for the airport?
The supplier.
Yeah. He too is
all lying about the same thing. It's harder to do than sort of lawsuits that are built around a private setting where it's he said, she said. This would, the guy says it happened at a party. So there would presumably be people who could verify it or say it didn't happen.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems. Yeah. You're right. When you mention all those people, they may all have alibis.
Well, Jay-Z certainly seems to have one.
Yeah.
So Jay-Z has mentioned that he's there with Beyonce, but we know that Jay-Z was in New York.
Yes.
The night that it was supposed to be. Now,
the night of King Combs of his birthday, which happens to be April 1st. Happy birthday.
Is it possible that he got on a private jet afterwards in New York and flew down there? Possible. But
yeah.
This is crazy.
It could be.
This is
and
crazy.
Could use that as an alibi. Could be. But then again, shit, there better be timestamps.
They better be. And flight logs too, to prove that.
Hey, not even just that. Also timestamps at the, I guess.
Yeah.
The plaintiffs now in, I guess the timestamp people was there too.
Yeah. This is crazy.
I don't know. LeBron James, I don't know. Look, he was playing for the Cavaliers at that point.
Yeah.
Though I did look on the schedule from 2015. The Cavs were playing the Miami Heat. So on April 2nd.
So there's a possibility that LeBron James could be there. Because he was playing for the Cavs. And on the April 2nd, he was playing for the Cavs and the Cavs were playing Miami Heat. So his birthday, which is Christian Combs, is an April Fool's Day. It's crazy though. Well, shit. Oh, shit. Happy birthday.
Hey, with what's going on planet Earth, shit, it's even worse than April Fool's Day.
Crazy.
Maybe he would have been Look, these are all allegations, very wild allegations laid out in this lawsuit. As Derek said, there are elements of it that sound like some of the other lawsuits, but we have not heard a response back from Diddy at this point.
Well, no, Diddy's attorneys said that it not credible at all. This complaint demonstrates the depraved lengths plaintiffs will travel to garner headlines in pursuit of a payday. No sane person reading this complaint could credit this story. It goes on to say basically that he's looking forward to his day in court when he's going to get to prove all of this wrong, which is something that we hear over and over again for all of these lawsuits.
Because we've seen dozens of them.
Crazy. So Diddy and his lawyers are responding, and they're saying these are all lies. But we look forward to defending in court.
And Diddy's trial is upcoming.
The criminal trial is coming soon. It's going to start in May. And after the criminal trial, however long that takes, then the civil trial starts of all of these cases that we've been hearing or talking about.
That's crazy.
So Diddy is going to be back and forth with the courts for a long time.
He better get comfortable.
Yo, this is crazy. So what you guys think? Jay-Z mentioned in this new lawsuits, Beyoncé mentioned.
Hey, and they have their Busby situation too.
And Jay-Z is still just, getting off the Busby issue or lawsuit. And this is a whole different lawyer.
He's been roped into another one.
This is a whole new lawyer that has nothing to do with Busby. This is a lawsuit from a different lawyer. This is the first lawsuit from this lawyer. And it's so crazy. You guys are going to watch the details about this lawsuits at the end of this video. So if you're new to the channel, drop a comment. Let us know what you guys think. Jay-Z, LeBron James, Adriel English, Beyoncé,
Defendant Diddy and Co.
And Co. A whole lot were mentioned in this lawsuits. So what you guys think? Drop a comment. Let us know. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe.
We're out of here now.
JEJE Vibe. See you in the next one. JEJE Vibe. You know it's JEJE Vibe. You catch the vibe. Catch the vibe. Hear the vibe.
Now when we talk about Sean Combs and all of his legal troubles, there's always this, which are the big names, which are the big celebrities that are involved in all of this, all of his alleged sexual misconduct? Well, I'll tell you what, according to a brand new lawsuit, several. There is an explosive new lawsuit that I'm going to break down for you, filed by a man named Joseph Manzaro in Florida. And this is actually in Florida federal court. So he is actually identifying himself in this lawsuit. He's not using a pseudonym. And he claims that he is a survivor of human trafficking and sexual exploitation. And more specifically, as outlined in the complaint, quote, plaintiff was drugged, transported against his will, and sexually maimed as a victim of a coercive and organized criminal enterprise beginning in 2015, orchestrated and facilitated by the defendants. The pattern of threats, concealment, manipulation, and psychological coercion persisted for years, extending the statute of limitations under federal tolling doctrines. Now, here is the kicker. Quote, high-profile individuals, including Jacob Arabo, Jay-Z, Gloria Estefan, LeBron James, and Beyoncé Knowles Carter, are identified as witnesses due to their presence or knowledge of the events surrounding the Freakoff orchestrated by defendant Diddy. Manzaro is suing Sean Combs. He is suing a man named Eric Mejias. He is suing Brendan Paul, who's been described in another lawsuit as Sean Combs' drug mule, Emilio Estefan, who is married to pop superstar Gloria Estefan, and Adria English, who filed her own lawsuit against Sean Combs, claiming she too was a victim of sex trafficking. By the way, it's interesting he's not suing these other celebrities that I mentioned, like Jay-Z and Beyoncé and Gloria Estefan, possibly because he doesn't believe their alleged liability amounted to a civil claim, but seems to want to call them as witnesses at a trial, although I have to imagine they will do everything in their power to quash any subpoena should this case progress, and we'll talk a little bit more about whether or not it will. But we want to get into the complaint, and we want to read this. So it reads, quote, on or about April 2015 at approximately 5:30 p.m., very specific time there, plaintiff arrived at his residence located at 424 Valley Forge Road, West Palm Beach, Florida. As plaintiff unlocked his door and turned the handle, he felt a greasy substance resembling Vaseline on his hand. Plaintiff attempted to wash his hands, but lost consciousness before he could do so. Okay, now first off, that is eerily consistent with other accounts that Combs allegedly spiked lubricants of unsuspecting victims. I still don't quite understand the connection between Manzaro and Combs. That is not, in my reading of this complaint, actually illustrated in any way. I don't think that's been clarified in any way, why he would be targeted or allegedly targeted. Also, I have to say, kind of interesting in this alleged kidnapping plot, that this is the way that you would potentially kidnap somebody. You basically douse this door handle in a spiked lubricant in the hopes that it would knock somebody out. But moving on, he claims that he passes out, he wakes up, and then he's in the backseat of a car. And he claims that this car is driven by Mr. Mejias, and there's another person in there, a Bonnie Rivera. And he claims before passing out once more, he hears Rivera telling Mejias, he's waking up, cuz, what should I do? Do you want me to knock him out? To which defendant Mejias allegedly responded, no, don't touch him. Don't worry. Just give it a minute. He'll fall back asleep again. I gave him a lot of that scopolamine, which is apparently an anti-nausea medication. Now, from there, Manzaro claims that he woke up at Mejia's place in Deerfield Beach, which is about 30 miles away, and he claims that is where he was held against his will. He claims he witnessed a man identified as Omar Bravo deliver cocaine and meth to Mejias, and Brendan Paul was there, quote, appearing nervous and sat with a motorcycle helmet in his lap. Again, very specific details. And he claims the drugs were placed in Paul's backpack, who then remarked how Combs wanted Manzaro brought to a Freakoff event. Now, this is where all the celebrities come in. So Manzaro claims that he was taken to One Star Island Drive in Miami, Florida, and that Mejias informed security there that they were attending an event at the Estefan mansion and mentioned it was Christian's birthday party that night. This was Christian Combs' son. And by the way, a quick search online seems to indicate that Christian's birthday is in fact April 1st, which by the way is interesting that this lawsuit was filed 10 years to the day yesterday, April 1st, on Christian's birthday. Now, Manzaro claims that the security logs at the entrance of Star Island would reflect this entry, so something that he hopes to get during the course of discovery. Now, from there, the complaint reads, plaintiff was dragged through the back entrance of the Estefan mansion at approximately 12:30 a.m. Not sure how he knows that time if he was in this drugged state, but he continues, inside, Gloria Estefan panicked upon seeing plaintiff's deteriorating state, demanding, call an ambulance. However, defendant Emilio quickly silenced her and ushered her away into the crowd. At that moment, plaintiff briefly saw LeBron James, who was wearing a white bath towel, brown shower shoes, and carrying a shaving bag, walking through the hallway. LeBron James looked at plaintiff and in response to Gloria Estefan's plan for an ambulance remarked, y'all better do something about that. Quote, plaintiff was then led by defendant Adria, who identified herself as Diddy's personal assistant, and through a concealed tunnel that connected the Estefan mansion to defendant Diddy's mansion, plaintiff was secretly transferred to defendant's Diddy mansion. So that's going to become a question if in fact their mansions are close enough for this to even happen, and whether there is evidence of this underground tunnel or this tunnel of some sort. Quote, upon regaining partial consciousness, the plaintiff found himself inside a large party area upon information and belief that it was Diddy's son's birthday party. Jay-Z and Beyoncé Knowles Carter were seated in the room, and upon seeing plaintiff, Beyoncé Knowles Carter asked, what's this? What's this all about? Why is this half-naked white man with a blank mask standing here in front of me? Defendant Eric responded, Diddy wants him to see what we do to snitches. This is part of his punishment. Plaintiff was forcefully paraded through multiple rooms filled with people who were jeering and taunting him. Defendant Diddy explicitly ordered plaintiff's degradation, stating, he's going to find out what we do to snitches tonight. Get him undressed. So from there, Manzaro claims he was stripped, put in a shower, forcibly washed by two women while Mejias and Rivera watched, and then was outfitted in a thong, a black leather mask with a lock over his mouth, and then, quote, subjected to degrading and non-consensual acts at the direction of defendants Diddy and Adria. Plaintiff was assaulted and forced to partake in unwanted sexual activity. And then he claims he passed out. Now, from there, he claims he woke up, found himself locked in a dark side room. Adria English and Mejias come in. They dress him, take him off the property, and then enters Jacob Arabo, also known as Jacob the Jeweler. You probably know who he is. Quote, while still semi-conscious, plaintiff encountered Jacob Arabo, who is visibly disturbed upon seeing plaintiff in his forced attire. He asked, what's this? What's going on with this guy? Why is he standing here staring at me with a penis strapped to his face? Defendant Eric responded, oh, he's just some guy who's a snitch. We're teaching him a little lesson. Defendant Emilio intervened, instructing Defendant Eric and Bonnie Rivera to move the plaintiff out of Jacob Arabo's sight. Gloria Estefan again pleaded for an ambulance to be called, but Defendant Emilio silenced her and shoved her into the crowd. Upon leaving the event, plaintiff overheard Defendant Diddy ask Defendant Eric, you're going to be getting rid of him, right? To which Defendant Eric responded, yeah, I'll be taking care of that. Following this described Freakoff event, Manzaro claims he was taken back to that house where he claims he was originally kept. He was savagely beaten and then left for dead inside of his own apartment. When a gang member later inquired about how plaintiff was kept unconscious, Defendant Eric responded, xylazine, trank. Now, Manzaro claims as a result of all of this, he suffered physical injuries, internal trauma, groin damage, maiming, hernias, and he claims he can prove this through documented evaluations from a urologist and a surgeon. But then Manzaro alleges that Eric Mejias would continue to harass and intimidate him in the years following this attack, including issuing death threats and threats to kidnap Manzaro's son. And Manzaro believes that this was all to keep him quiet. And he even claims that surveillance footage and police reports confirm attempts by Mejias to approach Manzaro's property. And this is where things take another turn, because Manzaro claims, additionally, a hitman named Sigfredo Garcia, who's now serving a life sentence in an unrelated murder, was in plaintiff's alleyway. A police report was filed corroborating this encounter, seen as an associate of defendant Eric was captured on security cameras outside plaintiff's residence, further evidence of a coordinated campaign of intimidation. Do you all remember who Sigfredo Garcia is? He was the man convicted and sentenced to life in prison for the 2014 assassination of FSU law professor Dan Markel, a case that has its own twists and turns and that had several trials. So here's a question for you, okay? Why wait all these years to file a lawsuit, right? That becomes a big question in all of the lawsuits that Sean Combs faces, because his argument would be, this is all a money grab. This is people coming out of the woodwork. They're jumping on the bandwagon. Okay. Quote, defendant Adria actively obstructed plaintiff's ability to seek justice by tampering with evidence, interfering with legal proceedings, and conspiring to conceal the crimes committed against plaintiff. Defendant's acts of coercion, obstruction, threat, and ongoing intimidation persisted until at least 2021, demonstrating a clear pattern of misconduct that effectively told the applicable statutes of limitation under federal and state law, meaning the claims aren't time barred anymore because he couldn't bring these claims earlier. Quote, plaintiff has now compiled the necessary evidentiary foundation to proceed with this legal action, including verified medical records, sworn witness statements, and corroborating documentation directly implicating the defendants in his abduction, drugging, sexual exploitation, and abuse.